Hey! That quick, back with another video. Now today I'm reacting to Larry. I'm looking y'all dead in your eyes when I'm telling y'all this. I'm looking y'all dead in your eyes. Comment down below. And when you comment down below, remember, all you gotta do is put your hand up if you want to debate me. And I go live on Saturdays from 3 to 5. Bring your butt up here and get this smoke. I want all the intellectual smoke. Anybody who think they can destroy me in a debate. Let's do it. Now, let's hop into this video. This video is Larry Elder explains why Donald Trump is attacked by the media. He's attacked by the media because he's president. All presidents get attacked by the media. But he's attacked by the media because he says stupid shit. That's another reason why he gets attacked by the media. But hey, let's keep going. Let's hop right into this. No time to waste.
I travel internationally all the time, and I have conversations with people publicly and privately about all sorts of things. And I bet you that if you were to survey most people in the UK or even in, I don't know, Germany or France or whatever, and ask them about those specific things, did Donald Trump say X, did he do Y, then they would be like, oh yeah, he said that, I remember seeing that clip on TV. And those clips, they're not just on the US media, they're also in the UK, and they cut off the tape at the same place where it sounds like he's just said this, and just before he says, and I'm not talking about white nationalists and white supremacists, they should be condemned totally, the tape just stops. And so this is what happens in somebody's brain, because they'll remember, wait, no, I saw and I heard that. And they did. They just saw a clip, and so what they're recalling is accurate. But it's just like, but to come as an outsider and explain them and say, oh no, he didn't say that, and they're like, no, he did say that, I heard it, and then it's like, no, you have to listen to an extra 20 seconds, and people have to be led there, and I think that's there's something that you were saying earlier, which is coming back to answer one of my own questions about the branding and the messaging coming more from the conservative or right side of the political aisle is, I think what's often missed, and I had this conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy last year because I did his podcast, and I was saying that I think that where Republicans sometimes mess up on messaging, I have quite a few criticisms, but I think one of them is that the dots are not explicitly connected. So say you want to secure the border. It's just build the wall, secure the border, we need to get rid of the illegals, we need to cut that down. If you stop there, what you're doing is you're creating a massive opening for disingenuous people who are in opposition to you to say, oh, you're racist, you hate brown people, you're this, you're that. If the dots were connected and people actually explained, as you did, hey, by securing the border, look, this illegal immigration, this is who it's disproportionately impacting. It's not people living in wealthy suburbs, whatever. It's disproportionately affecting these people. These are the impacts on crime and the safety of your communities and so on. Therefore, we need to secure the border to keep you people safe. I think those dots need to be connected more. If it's something as simple as, cutting taxes. We want to reduce taxes or we want to cut regulation. Again, you create an opening for people to say, oh, you hate poor people. You want people to suffer. You want those single mothers and people in inner city. You just want them to suffer by cutting the taxation. Whereas if it were explained, okay, look, by cutting taxation, it will have all of these different positive effects. And I find that the second part of the messaging is often missed because I think when you're already talking to, let's say, a Republican or conservative audience, those dots are already connected in their head. So it's obvious why securing the border is important. It's obvious why cutting taxes is good for entrepreneurship and opportunity and so on. But for someone who's like these people you said before, they've never even heard conservative ideas before, I think those dots are not connected to their head. So if you just say, hey, I want to cut taxes, or say you want to remove a certain government program, or you want to do this or do that, their brains think, oh, well, in my head, Republicans are evil and they want people to suffer. So by cutting taxes, oh, that validates it. They want people to suffer even more. Oh, by wanting to secure the border, oh, that validates my idea that they are racist and they are xenophobic and so on. So I think that simple extra step of messaging would actually go a long way. And I find that when I do listen to Republican politicians or even commentators they often don't do that part of the messaging. Maybe because they just don't think it's needed, or they think that it's self-evident, and I don't necessarily think it is for everybody.
Well, I also think it's...
No, that's a fact. And you know what else is funny? Like, damn, he just dropped a whole bunch of gems right there. You know what else I think is good? That's the same thing on the left. That's the exact same thing on the left. They don't know why. Like when they hear that the left is okay with abortion, all they hear is okay with abortion. You want to see babies go? We want to see babies pass away. No, they think that a woman should be able to choose what she does with her body, because in any other circumstance, you wouldn't allow the government to dictate to you what you do with your body. Like Keon quote, the conservatives had a huge problem with taking shots. They had a huge problem with getting the vaccine. Why? Because the government is mandating you to go get a vaccine. And if you don't, you can't have a job. You can't be in the military, things like that. And the left is saying, okay, well, let's take it a step further. Like when it comes to women, women should be able to choose whatever they do with their body, and men shouldn't be able to dictate to that to them. That dot doesn't connect, because it's like, okay, like look in this scenario and that scenario, you know, it's right. Everything about politics is missing dot connections. But it's like once you already have a preconceived notion of what you're looking at, you're never going to see it any different. So even if he did connect those dots, conservatives did, the left will never see it the way they see it, and the right will never see it the way they see it. It's just some kind of common ground that we all have to come to with reasonable people. But hey, he made a great point. I like that.
It's important, and I try to do this on my radio show. Point out that the things that Donald Trump said about illegal immigration have been said by Democrats for decades.
For sure.
Harry Reid, the former leader of the Senate, once even used the term illegal alien to describe how ridiculous he said it was to allow people to come to the country, have children, and have those children automatically be citizens. Barack Obama, Senator Barack Obama, 2005 I think it was, also talked about unbridled immigration. We need to do something about it. Chuck Schumer said something very similar. And I think we need to remind people that these ideas of Donald Trump were said by Democrats decades before Donald Trump ever even emerged on the scene. January 6th, another example. The part that the Democrats focus on is when Donald Trump said, I want you to go to the Capitol and fight like hell. That's just political rhetoric. People have been saying fight like hell for a long time. Harry Truman was told, used that term a lot. Give him hell, Harry, was one of his nicknames. And he says, I don't give them hell, I give them the truth, and they think it's hell. So it's just standard political rhetoric. And they ignore the fact that Donald Trump said, I want you to peacefully and patriotically go and make your voices heard. That's what he also said, but they ignore that part of it. It's just incredibly unfair. And this business about election denying.
First of all, no. He told him to go fight like hell and then told him to peacefully protest. You're contradicting yourself, Larry. Fight like hell and peacefully protest. That's an oxymoron, dude. Like, fight like hell but peacefully protest. So I can fight like hell peacefully protesting? Oh God. These conservatives are weasels, man. They really are. Some of them are weasels, man. Some of these conservative pundits are weasels, man. But the left is too. You know, the left has their weasels, but he said fight like hell. I wrote it down. He said fight like hell, then he said peacefully protest. Let's keep going.
For the 4 years that Donald Trump was in office, Hillary referred to him as illegitimate, and said the election was stolen. The then DHS Secretary Jay Johnson under Obama testified under oath that while the Russians tried to change vote tallies in 2016, they tried to manipulate the machines, they failed to change a single vote tally. Yet a poll found that 66% of Democrats believe the Russians, quote, changed vote tallies, close quote, in 2016 to elect Donald Trump. No evidence of it whatsoever. Jimmy Carter, the former president, said, I believe the Russians put Donald Trump there. This is a former president, like former President Donald Trump, essentially saying the election was stolen. Nobody called him an election denier. And this business about what Donald Trump tried to do with Vice President Cheney to get him to refuse to certify certain states in January 2021, it was done by Democrats in 2000 when...
So he just admitted that Donald Trump did try to steal the election with Biden. He just admitted it by saying it was done by Democrats. Okay. So are you saying what the Democrats did is the same thing that Trump did, and no one is disagreeing that the Democrats doing that was wrong? So was Trump doing it wrong, or are you just justifying it because the Democrats did it? It was wrong, point blank, period. Secondly, he brought up Hillary. I want to make this point. He said Hillary brought up how the election was stolen. You want to know the difference between Hillary bringing it up and Donald Trump bringing it up? When Hillary brought up the election was stolen, she still came to his inauguration. She still shook hands, called him in and said, "Best of luck to you, Donald Trump." She called him. She gave a peaceful transfer of power. People rioted because they were mad because he lost because of the Electoral College. She won the popular vote. She lost because of the Electoral College. People did riot. People were mad, but because people felt like their voices weren't heard. But even though they said they thought the election was stolen, she still transferred power. She did the respectful thing. Donald Trump did not do any of that. He didn't shake hands with Biden, didn't invite him into the White House. Biden did it for him, but he didn't do it for Biden. Donald Trump is a child when it came to that. He was childish when it came to that, and you're not really making any point by saying that the election was stolen. And, yeah. Donald Trump is the only one still bringing it up. Hillary ain't brought it up. But let's keep going.
Al Gore lost to George W. Bush.
He did.
The Democrats, 12 of them, most of them black, argued that the VP, then Al Gore, had the opportunity to refuse to certify Florida, claiming that the Florida vote was manipulated. 4 years later, W gets reelected. He won Ohio. 30 Democrats, including Barbara Boxer, tried to prevent the vice president from decertifying Ohio, claiming that the Debo voting machine had been manipulated. And in 2016, the Democrats challenged more states, 9, than Donald Trump did in 2020, when he challenged 6. They all made the same argument that the VP had more than ceremonial powers. He could send the election back to various states if they thought there were shenanigans going on. All I'm saying is the Democrats did every single thing Donald Trump did. And what the response always is, well, Democrats did not storm the Capitol on January 6th. Well, that's because Hillary wasn't in office.
Deadly insurrection.
Had she been in office and the shoe was on the other foot, what makes you think her supporters would have been any more peaceful? When Donald Trump got elected in January and in November 2016, there were protests, including violent protests in 40 cities. The police car was set on fire. And when Donald Trump was inaugurated, January of 2017, I think it was 200 people were arrested for staging violent protests. So the idea that somehow, some way, Hillary supporters would have been more graceful had the shoe been on the other foot, what's the evidence of that? And people then said, well, Hillary didn't file lawsuits to overturn the election. Yes, she did. She joined a lawsuit that was filed by Jill Stein, the independent candidate, who tried to overturn Wisconsin. And Hillary filed a separate motion to have the recount done by hand.
Wait, no one's saying that Hillary didn't file lawsuits. No one's saying that. No one's saying that. No one's saying that. They're saying that they don't think the Electoral College was a fair way to go about it. Hillary believed that she lost the election unfairly. She did file lawsuits. No one's saying she didn't. What everybody's saying is that she lost the election unfairly. Fair and square. And they do believe that it was stolen from them because the electorals didn't vote the way the people wanted them to vote. If she won the popular vote, she should have won the election. That means that she won where the people wanted. Same thing goes with Donald Trump. If Donald Trump would have lost in I would have backed this. If Donald Trump would have lost in 2024 as still winning the popular vote to the Electoral College. It's how our system is set up, it's just how it goes. I would have said that was unfair too. I most definitely would have. And I voted for Kamala. I would have said that's unfair too. But let's keep going.
So the idea that because Republicans are protesting elections, they are now election deniers and threatening the foundation of our republic when Democrats have done it for years, it's just BS. And it's incredibly unfair. And again, because the media is so biased, all the things I just now said to you, you're not going to pick up the newspaper and read them. All you're going to find out is Donald Trump is once again denying the election when Hillary did the same thing, and nobody called her anything.
Yeah. Do you think that do you ever think that too much stock is put into politics in this country? Especially when it comes to party politics, the whole left versus right, blue versus red, constant back and forth ping pong.
You know, the actual effect on your life and my life any given day is going to be determined more by our jobs, more by crime, more by the quality of our schools. That's really the kind of thing that affects you on a personal level, far more so than whoever gets elected president. So it is often perceived to me as almost a transference of anger and bitterness without any real consequence on your own life. I mean, people that hate Donald Trump. How was your life hurt when Donald Trump was president? Gas prices were low, inflation was low, interest rates were low. How are things bad for you? But you hate this guy, all out of proportion to what impact he had on your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that the greatest problems, not just in this country, I think the same in mine, I don't think it's primarily political. I think it's social, cultural, familial, community-based, and I think that the obsession, especially over top level or federal level politics, more so than local, I think oftentimes it's a distraction and an outsourcing of responsibility, because if I think of, okay, what are the problems plaguing the USA from my perspective, it's not about who's in the White House or which whatever the administration is, those problems are still there, and they're generally getting worse. I'm talking about familial disintegration and absent fathers. I'm talking about rising obesity and, for the first time in history, dropping life expectancy. I'm talking about 100,000 plus Americans per year dying of drug overdoses, homelessness, the whole school problem. I mean, schools where kids can't even read, do math, and so on. Like, to me, these are, yes, some of them are connected to politics, and I'm sure there are policies that could potentially improve these things, but when I think about individuals and families and what is happening in those dynamic, all of these issues are downstream of that. It seems like, not to even oversimplify a multivariate problem, but I often wonder, hey, if families came together and stayed together, right, and kids were raised by their mother and their father, regardless of color, creed, ethnicity, whatever, poor, rich, and that unit was strong, and then maybe on top of it, the schools were at least decent, how many of these problems would you have, and how severe would they be? And things would be so much better, and I think that conversation is largely avoided. I mean, every time, again, it's weird to me from as an outsider, you know, when these. So what from America makes the news globally? It's the bad stuff, you know. It's a mad. There was another school shooting. There was someone went to a mall and went crazy with a rifle or a handgun or whatever the case may be, and the conversation is always about the gun. It's always about the tool. In the UK, the same thing happens with stabbing, by the way. They start having conversations.
I love when he talks, and I'm going to let him talk and finish off, but I want to say the reason why Larry Elder probably is not going to say anything to this, because it requires handouts. That's what they call it. It requires you investing money into those communities in order for those communities to flourish and grow. If you don't want to invest money in those communities, you want to leave them the way they are, you want to make it a dog-eat-dog world, a cutthroat world, that's what you get. You get poverty-stricken communities that can do nothing for themselves, that most of the time can't do anything for themselves. They're born into that circumstance, and they continue the circumstance. Period. That's all it takes. But Larry Elder's not going to say that, because that's not appealing to his conservative audience, because they don't believe in handouts. Even if they're in the Appalachian Mountains with nothing, they don't believe in handouts.
About how long can a knife be, and should you need more ID to buy it? I'm like, guys, we all have knives. Everyone has knives in their kitchens. The problem is not that knives exist, but they distract from the core issue, because they don't want to talk about, the vast majority of young men doing these things do not grow up with fathers or even father figures in their lives, and they're in these communities and they've been through these things, and sometimes they were known to the police, and perhaps they're on a certain type of drug which is causing them to have certain things, and all that conversation is just avoided, and immediately it just comes back to the beating sticks back and forth of, should AR-15s be banned? How many bullets should you be allowed in a magazine? Should there be... It just comes to the tool, and to me it's just so dumb, and it happens over. It's been happening my whole life, my entire life. When I see these stories, I'm like, it's the same the same thing happens, right. Same conversation, no serious conversation about, okay, what's actually going on. Okay, let's think about this. Primarily, this is young men between 15 and 25 who are over 90% of these perpetrators. Vast majority of them they're coming from a certain background, certain things lacking. Where's that conversation? I know it's not something you can click your fingers and fix, but it just shocks and disheartens me that conversation is barely even happening.
I love it. I love when that guy talks, man. Yeah, and he's 100% right. That's the conversations that we need to have to make this thing better. Yo, you know what? Subscribe. Y'all turn on post notifications. And let's get up out of here. Yeah.